I'll read a couple of quotes from some of the letters. One by a visiting professor from NYU and another from a professor actually there who knows a lot of these students that were sprayed. So hopefully the link will work. Mike, is there an audio thing anywhere by any chance?
I'm not sure if there is up there, but I'll just put this one there.
Okay. If there isn't a little audio, sometimes these things have audio. Hi, Jet. So I'm sure most of you have seen this, and as you hear one of the students or several actually kind of shouting, "Who do you protect? Who do you protect?" And I just, when I heard about it first before I actually saw the YouTube clip, and when I saw it, I was just absolutely mortified and horrified, just by the very quiet, deliberate, premeditated way in which the officer comes and just, sprays these students who are sitting peacefully, and I guess just to be a little humorous for a second, I'm, a Mexican, or pretty light skinned, but I'm Mexican nonetheless, and I love really hot stuff. So one day, I thought, I'll just be kind of arrogant and macho and actually try pepper spray, try to actually taste it, thinking, oh, I love hot stuff, I can handle it, what's the big deal? And has anyone ever been pepper sprayed? Yeah. It's not a happy experience, no? Yeah. And so I got in touch with my inner baby, because I cried like a baby for probably half an hour after just tasting the whole thing. So it was so excruciatingly painful. So obviously professors are outraged by this. And so I'll just read a couple of quotes from, there was a visiting professor, Alexander Galloway, associate professor of the Department of Media, Culture, and Communication from NYU. Let's see here. The last weekend, the world awoke to videos depicting cruel and despicable acts performed by paramilitary police casually spraying chemical agents to your peaceful students. Such actions are reprehensible, absolutely contrary to the moral duties of educators everywhere. These students, like many thousands around the country and around the world, were peacefully protesting the recent outrageous tuition hikes at the public University of California, the ballooning student debt burden, and the political system that puts profits over people. So anyway, he ends up by saying, I regret therefore that I must withdraw my participation in the April conference until Chancellor Patehi takes responsibility for her actions by resigning, and until UC Davis removes its paramilitary police force from campus. While my admiration and respect for the great public universities of the UC system remains strong, I cannot in good standing or good conscience visit the UC Davis campus in April. I cannot support Chancellor Patehi. I cannot support police brutality. And quite simply, I fear for my own safety were I to visit your campus. So that letter came and then here's from an actual professor at UC Davis. journalist and professor of techno-cultural studies and music, actually. It's kind of an interesting discipline. I teach at UC Davis, and I personally know many of the students who are victims of this brutal and unprovoked assaults. They are top students. In fact, I can report that among the students I know, the higher a student's grade point average, the more likely it is that they are centrally involved in the protests. So I'm glad that, that people were outraged by this. I'm glad that some professors are speaking up. I've also heard directly and indirectly about some of the things that have been happening that haven't really been reported at some of the peaceful Occupy movements, either it's in Oakland or in Denver or pretty much throughout the United States. Police officers ramming their bikes into people. And then you all probably saw the newspaper article, was it yesterday or the day before, about the text messages where the Denver police were just making these very disparaging remarks about the protesters and calling them dirty hippies, the baton, and so on and so forth. But I'll let you read it because there's quite a few of them. So I guess I'll just end on this. So in terms of the occupied communities and the police crackdowns, including, as I mentioned, riding motorbikes in the crowds, batons, etc., who pays the police salaries? Whether it's campus police or whether it's state and local police, where does City Hall get its revenues? Taxes, parking meters, etc., etc. So it's just kind of ironic, or maybe not so much so, that citizens, just by living, dropping their quarters and meters and so on, and or paying tickets or parking tickets and so on, end up feeding the same institutions that kind of punish people. And so the big question is, are we paying for our own unwarranted punishment? And so I guess I'll just be as facetious as possible about this. Let me go back to my PowerPoint.
Yay, trophy!
All right, so yeah, who pays the price? Who pays the price? I mean, are we literally paying for the price for our own, in a sense, punishment, our own constitutional right to protest, our own constitutional right to question, our own constitutional right to ask for basic things like justice, like truth, like equality, like knowing that my dollars are going somewhere, and so on and so forth. And yet I don't know, who is policing the police? So I started with some images from Dante's Inferno, and I'll end with some images from Inferno and Bosch. And so I guess one of the things that I guess I've been thinking about is the top 1% is getting wealthier. The top 1% seems to be able to do things with impunity, right? Are they getting pepper sprayed, a baton, bikes ridden into them, going to jail? I haven't seen any of that. And so is this kind of the metaphor that we're living, that our children are kind of living, that in order to be successful and safe in today's world, that we have to then kind of clamor to the top of the food pile to be part of that top 1%? In which case, if that's the case, what are we willing to do to each other or to ourselves to reach that kind of quote-unquote golden ground of the 1% where you can really do what you want and the world is literally your playground? And I guess just to end, to tie it back to the pepper spray video, perhaps it's a little extreme, but maybe it's fine. Is that pepper spray video, would be, as someone who teaches film, one of the things that we've been really outraged by, or I've been personally outraged by, is this upsurge in kind of torture porn, right? And the kind of popularity in torture porn films and so on. And is that real life, torture of these students, a type of torture porn for the wealthiest 1%? That's all I know. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Aldama. I think we have a couple of questions. Time for a couple of questions.
How you doing? I came from